How you doing, YouTube? This is Scott, back with the Liberty project, take 2. I'm out riding a trail that I found kind of on the New Hampshire border of Massachusetts. Just found a little bridge. Figured I'd stop and make a second video. I haven't been doing much with this bike. I reconfigured the batteries around a little bit. I'm still using the sealed lead acid. My front crank's very bent. There's a few problems with the pedaling of this bike. As you can see, that's completely bent, so it's really awkward to pedal. And as well as that, I think when Liberty made these bikes, they kind of put their derailleur in the wrong spot. It's, as you can see, it's played really up high here on the back of my hub motor bolt from the axle. But as you see down here on the 6-speed freewheel, the chain really only gets to bite about 4 teeth, maybe only about 3 teeth when you're down in your max gear. So if you can see, all these teeth are all bent and screwed out of place. And when you're trying to pedal fast with this bike, sometimes the chain skips and you can really hurt yourself. You're trying to put force on the pedals, and your knee gives out to your handlebar. You got to be really careful. So I'm gonna have to replace this 6-speed freewheel, and I'm probably gonna have to somehow reconfigure my rear derailleur. So maybe it's turned more of an angle so it'll bite half the chain wheel like it should. But as well as that, I think I told you in my last video, I completely just cut the pedal assist out of this controller. It's still the stock controller. It's very slow. This chain wheel is bent as well. Pretty warped. So the whole ride of this bike is really not too fun. I think the project, it's keeping me busy, but I need to do a lot of work. I need to change out the batteries. I need to get a bigger controller. I need to run at 48 volts. I need to, go at least 800 watts. But the frame, very, very solid. It's what I asked for. I bought it to try to, make like an e-bike motorcycle. I still haven't, had the money to dump into it yet. I'd like to, put $1,000 into it and get beefy rims and different sized rims and lithium batteries and the whole works. As you can see, I got one of those cheap Schwinn odometers from Walmart. They're only 10 bucks. This thing only cruises around at a boring 15 miles per hour. And I mean, that's still average for a cycler, a biker, but I'm used to my 48 volt 1000 watt Golden motor e-bike that's going 34 miles an hour. Front shocks are loosening up a bit. I don't know if you can remember in my last video this. They were all rusted and kind of like seized up. They're still very, very stiff to the point where it's almost like they don't operate while you're driving the bike. You just kind of have to really jump on them to get them to move. But I've been lubing them and oiling them every day, and hopefully they'll just work their way back. There's a few other things that I've been thinking about changing on the bike is how low the handlebars are. This little stem piece that comes up to the, I guess the fake threaded stem, I need to make it longer so my handlebars come up higher. They're definitely too low. I feel hunched over and uncomfortable. I just recently had to rewire the controller, so I opened the box up down here because, I don't know if you remember my first video, I was telling you when I turned the key to operate the bike, which it's on now, so obviously the problem is gone, but when the key was on before, it would just start rolling. Now I found a way to make it work normally by opening it up and rewiring the throttle, but I took out a little chipboard that I think I needed. So I fixed one problem and now have another because, the throttle works when I press the bike. As you can just see, it almost tipped over. Excuse me. But now I don't have any battery gauge, so I really don't know. I'm out in the woods here, my battery could be dead, and that's it. I'll have to pedal it home. Disc brakes are working fine. Rear rim still, you know, a little warped. It's not going to fix itself. My wiring's all a little hacked up. I got a 36 volt SLA charger off of eBay for $18 shipped to my house. So I changed around my charging configuration back to a 36 volt configuration, so I don't need secondary wires to switch over to parallel. And as you can see, I also got rid of the household single pole switches that I had, taking it out of its series wiring so I could charge at 12 volts. So I have nothing but the one inline fuse and the stock computer cord that plugs it into its controller. It's only a 14 gauge wiring, I think. I moved this top battery so my suspension wouldn't be hitting it, but there's a few other problems now. As you can see, the top of this post right here is digging into the battery there, which could cause potential hazardous problems. And same with over here. This used to be a mounting spot for a rear fender that I took off, and it's also rubbing the battery. So hopefully I can tend to those problems before they get a little out of control and I start leaking battery acid in places I shouldn't be, which is probably anywhere. Seat is very overkill. I'm thinking about getting rid of it, and I want to get rid of it. It's got this latch, locks down, so you could pull the old battery out if you were short and had the seat all the way down to the bottom, so you wouldn't have to move it all the time. But this is a really thick pole, and as you can see, it's, I guess, I don't know, serrated of some sort, so it's got some roughness to it. But it's extremely heavy, and it's all steel, like the entire bike. So, you know, if the bike's over 100 pounds and I'm sitting at just under 200, I mean, these three little batteries got to pull 300 pounds plus, so that's probably why it's only doing 15 miles an hour. Never mind the 450 watt pedal assist controller that I had to rewire. But I'm probably going to change the battery system out to 48 volts, change the controller, and put a new throttle on so I have a battery indicator. But I'm probably going to keep this hub motor for quite a while, at least till it smokes, just because that's what I bought the bike for. I bought it for the frame, and I bought it for the hub motor. But I think before I switch out the battery system, I'm going to tend to the crank arms and the rear freewheel shifting problem, because it is a big issue. I mean, this bike is slow, so going up hills is a problem. I really have to pedal with it. But one good thing about this really, really low wattage controller is that it never cuts out. I can just keep the throttle held the whole entire time, and it'll slowly tug its way up the hill. The little motor that could. But this is Scott out in the woods making a little video for you. And I guess I'm going to be signing out. See if I can find another area. Thanks for watching.